would be done, that these people's voices for years, their savings, their hard work, no one gives a damn? Really? I mean, would you do that to your own kid? Would you do that to your own family members? If one of your children or one of your parents or one of your siblings had a home in that area that we live in and they suffered from this, would you sit there and not do anything? We really need your help. I know what part of what these people have gone through. They've had it worse than I've had, but let me tell you, it's a nightmare. We've lived in our house since '98, and 5 to 6 times it keeps happening. Nothing has been done. I thank you for bringing it this far, but it's a shame if nothing gets resolved. I know that I haven't been here the last few times, the last few meetings. I was out of town working, but my husband was here in support of the whole thing. I don't know what the issue is with the library. I don't know what the issue is with the police station. I don't know what the issue is with the new township building. But these are our homes. This is what makes the township, are the residents and the people here. You can't have a library, you can't have a police station if you don't have residents. We don't live in a ghetto here. We pay taxes and we pay high-end dollar to live in our homes. There is no reason why we should be treated like trash, because that's what's happening here. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. And I please beg of you and everyone here that, you know what, we got to keep the fight. We're not going to quit. I told Larry Gentili 2 years ago when this happened the last time, I said, I'm not going to stop until it's done. And as you know, I've been here, or my husband has been here, every meeting for the last year. And I thank you for stepping up and realizing how important it is. Jim McGarity for being there and supporting us. And the rest of you commissioners, we're really asking once and for all, solve the problem. Thank you.
Good. Go on up.
I'm Janet Hutchinson. I live at 1606 Woodmere Way, which is apparently a natural valley. And even though there's a pipe under my driveway, it doesn't hold the flooding rains. First time we experienced this, my parents had moved in to this house in 1969. I was 9 years old. And the first really big storm we saw was Hurricane Agnes. And there's a lot of stigma with that, but that's truly a bad storm. I don't know where it registers, 25 or 50-year event. But that's the first time I've ever seen flooding to that magnitude firsthand. And the occasional storm, yes, cars would float in the street, or there'd be, you know, the annoyance of having to clean out basements. But since 2004, it's been extraordinary. It's been exponential. And the frequency of these storms. I feel, sadly, that we're going the way of the people of this neighborhood, because in permanence now, there is a condition that we live in on this earth where it is, these more viable storms are frequent, and the infrastructure isn't enough to handle it. And I feel bad that I live in the house. I decided to choose to live in the house my parents had and bought that house, and raising my family there, and what we have to put up with. And it's generational conflict now with dealing with the environment. And I just have to say from personal experience, this is happening constantly, and you cannot kick the can down the road anymore. We have to grab it, and we have to really resolve it, because it is the future of Haverford Township. It's the fabric and the network of people and your neighbors that you count on when you have these terrible events. And it's going to be a sad state of affairs if we can't remove this stain, because I think it's becoming known. And I think it's just sad, because we do live in a wonderful neighborhood, township, and we want to keep it big and strong, and not have any stigma attached to it. So I urge you, please grab it, get it, and nail it down, and don't let it go on anymore because there's more festering problems, and we're all experiencing that with redundancy now. Thank you.
Anyone else in that row? Third row? Come on up.
Ryan Littlewood, 1607 Woodmere Way. Just want to again thank the entire board for taking the time to listen and help work out solutions to fix these issues. Again, I've been here for over a year, almost every month now. Just not asking to take care of the water in my basement. I'm asking to take care of the problem that's out of control out on our street. The water that's backflowing. It's dangerous, it's unsanitary, it's destructive. My wife and I bought our house in 2007. There was actually a flood in 2004, which we didn't know anything about this. In 2011, my next door neighbors are banging on my front door at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I thought so. I didn't know what was going on. I come downstairs, walk out to a lake in front of my house. My truck is completely underwater. Dodge Dakota. The water was up to here on the truck. The steering wheel, the motor, everything was underwater. A horn was going off. I have no idea what was going on. I was trying to turn the horn off when all this was going on so I didn't upset my neighbors. My neighbors were screaming at me to get away from the sewer because the water was right there coming down. They're saying, get out of there, get out of there. So the thing that kind of took me from, the thing I took out of this most is the stress that it's, caused all of us. Everybody's been saying that all night. Every time it rains, I'm lying in bed. I have to wake up, move outside, pull the cars up 4 or 5 houses. I actually called Mr. McGarity for going away on vacation. Can I park my car somewhere safe that you would be okay with? He did get back to me, which I appreciated that with. I had a babysitter out a couple of months ago. I had to call her and tell her to move her car, and she's like, what are you talking about? We had a new neighbor and move in next to us just a month ago, and I explained to him yesterday about this meeting tonight. His jaw dropped when I told him what happens on our street. He has no idea that his house could be affected by this as well. So again, appreciate the last October we met up, and you guys came up with 3 different solutions that could fix it. It looks like there's a solution for all these problems. I can't stress enough that you guys have come this far. I just want to see if you guys can pull together, get whatever grants we need to do, and fix these problems. Thank you guys for your time.
Everyone else in the third row? Fourth row? Oh, okay, sorry.
So it's not being used for any of us.
Hi, my name's Dave Miller. I live at 29 Meadowbrook Road. I've been a resident there since 1957. I was born in that house. I moved out in the 70s when I got married, came back 10 years ago. My mother passed away, I got the house. I've been through my share of floods. I've seen what it can do. I've seen catastrophic situations. I have 2 older sisters who are obviously older than me, but they can verify that back in the early 60s, I don't know if it was Agnes as the lady presented earlier, but they can attest that they had almost 7 feet of water in the basement, just enough that it was coming up between the cracks of the tongue and groove floor. Thanks to the engineer for putting up the 1 slide on the Chatham Glen Village and showing me the straight line, which I believe was the original line of the water from Carriacou, is that right? Stream. The straight line was the original, the way it was. The dotted line was the fix-it?
I'm not sure
Okay.
what you're talking about.
Well, either way, looking at that particular slide indicates that my house, along with George Daly's house, is dead center on that creek. So I have to learn to live with that. I'm a fighter. I love my castle. I protect it as I see fit. I run 2 pumps. My well's 4 feet deep and 30 feet across. What annoys me the most is you can come up here to the meetings, you can explain to the councilman and so on and so forth, and voice your gripes and opinions. But you can't do anything of a stationary object unless you sit there and get it yourself and stand your ground. This stick is, excuse my phone. This stick, it was one of the last tools that my lovely wife got me after I told her I had everything. This is the stick of a squeegee that I used 2 days after I got 16 inches of water in my basement. So just to read off and refresh everybody's mind, we'll start with my birthday, which was the 25th of '09 in August. I got this 2 days late because I wrote on the stick too little, too late. In March 13th of 2010, I prepared. They said it was coming. I covered my Bilko doors, nothing. So I wrote nothing, haha. In August of 28th in 2011 was Hurricane Irene. That was about 2 feet of water. In September 8th of 2011 was Tropical Storm Lee, and it got me really good, 3 feet of water. In October 29th, 2012, Hurricane Sandy, the Frankenstorm, that also got me. And the last one I wrote on this, and haven't used it since, was September 2nd of 2013. I was unprepared, but managed, and I had about 5 inches. Now, one time a commissioner walked around and gave us an option, and they said, well, we'll flood your basement with concrete, or we'll give you a check and buy at your house. Would you go? I said no. Some said yes. I won't go. I love my house. So my plan is that when I know that there's storms coming, I take my precautions. I move my car. That's the most obvious thing. But as far as my basement goes, I have low Bilko doors that are down to the ground level of the driveway. I covered the doors, I put some sandbags around, and I waited out. I have ports in my clay or slate or whatever you want to call it floor, the pressure ports for static water. They've been the way, those holes in there are not holes that will cause accidents. They're just like a piece of shale that's missing off of one section of the floor. That's where the water always comes in and has always comes in since I can remember when I used to go down in that basement in the early 60s. If I fix that floor and stop the water from coming in, the static pressure finds another place in the floor to come up and make it worse. I will not fix the floor. But I can tell you one thing. The water discussions I've heard tonight and the past couple of years, and the straight line coming through the neighborhood, like I saw in that one photograph, and for the other neighborhoods, that in my house, in my situation, in my neighborhood, that whatever happened is now expanding, and I can prove it. And the way I can prove it is that the little bit of rain that we got a few days ago was enough water running off of those streams or pipes or whatever you want to call them to make it come in my ash chute. And that's really rare. Over the past couple of years, it started to come into the ash chute, which tells me that it's moved across the floor and in under the driveways. So I don't know how deep these things are, these pipes or whatever. I don't know if it's 8 feet or 10 feet down, but I can guarantee you that they're expanding, and the water coming from from above us in my neighborhood is really starting to deteriorate the walls of whatever pipes or lining is underground. And if it doesn't stop or can't be fixed or rearranged or diverted or whatever, you're going to find the side of my house and probably the side of my neighbor's house and all in that line in one huge collapse. Now, mentally, I'm prepared for that, if it was to happen. I don't know where I would go if it did. I hope I'm not home if it does. But 2 things. I've been a firefighter since '76. I was at Johnstown in the '70s to see the floods out there and spent 5 days. I'll tell you, if my neighborhood turns into a Johnstown, what I saw out there, I don't think Haverford Township's going to be able to stay on the map. For the simple reason is that when word gets out of any kind of ignorance or any kind of political ploys or underground stuff that's going on that doesn't enable the revenues to generate because the neighborhood moved, then there's no reason to have a Haverford Township anymore. Because it's the residents of this township, no matter where you live, that bring in the revenues and help pay the taxes. So if you take 3 major flood areas or 4 major flood areas, and those people stop paying their taxes, you really think that you're going to be able to send out your lawyer troops and recover your losses from revenues? It's not going to happen. Because these people around here that are in here tonight, and the ones that couldn't make it, they're going to get so disgusted, they're going to just leave their keys on the doorstep, shut the door. Now it's your problem, not mine. So before you put any money into this, township buildings, the library, or any other kind of general fund ideas you may have, you better take care of the residents that help pay the revenues that keep you guys on this board and this township going.
Anyone else in the fourth row? Okay. Now we can begin discussion. Chris, would you like to start? No. Commissioner Connell.
First, I want to thank all the neighborhoods from coming out, not just from the 8th Ward, but from the other wards for coming out tonight. I know it's a tough thing to do, to come here one more time, and I appreciate George Daly circulating all the letters for me. And I know it's tough to come here one more time to give your experience on what happened, but I think it's important because this is a good board. This is a new board, and they need to see the faces of what has happened in those neighborhoods. You can have the numbers, you can have the pictures, but when you put a face to it and you put passion to it, it kind of makes that vote, hopefully, a lot easier to do. So thank you very much for coming out. And I also appreciate my colleagues, Commissioner Broido and Commissioner Richardson for coming out tonight also for supporting this effort here. And I guess to my colleagues, I say that tonight, I hope you're able to take all of this in. And you know how much that I've been saying over the past years that we really need to do something about stormwater management, meeting after meeting. And now this is where I hope that tonight, from this meeting, that we absolutely can move forward for a fix.
Okay.
For a fix in this. Okay? Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris. Give me a moment, okay? Can you give me a second?
Is it all right to speak?
No, I said, can you give me a moment?
Oh, sure, Mary.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to address everyone who made comments this evening. We understand, and this board is not running from anything. We're trying to do what other boards could not, and that is deal with the issues. As George will tell you, I have spent many an hour with him on the telephone discussing this issue. The fact is that those mechanisms that are supposed to provide you assistance, FEMA, PEMA, all those have turned their backs and they've said we can't help. There is no grants. Nobody's going to give us a substantial amount of money for this. So we've got to take this on ourselves, and it's something we need to discuss on what is the best way to do it. I don't know what that is. We will discuss that, and how we're going to fund it is another discussion also. But we're dealing with the issue. We're discussing the issue, and we will have answers for everyone when we finish discussing all of this. We are not kicking the can down the road, nor have we, as this board, done that. So, Commissioner, you want to say something?
Is it my turn?
You can go, Commissioner.
Okay. No, I think Mario summed it up very nicely. And what the people said tonight is somebody's got to do something. And I think that somebody is these 9 members of this board, because we're not going to get it from anybody else. And I'm a fighter, and I think most of you know that. I'm not going to talk about the library, the police station. That's over and done with. That's settled, okay? We're not going to get into that issue. You have an issue out there, and it's our job to help settle your problems. I think it can be done, and I think these 9 members will pull together to get it done. But we'll see when the vote comes. But honestly, the only way that it can be done is what the gentleman said back there. The gentleman back here asked, how would it be done through a bond issue or float a bond or in that area? And I think that's the way it more or less is going to have to be done, if it's going to be done at all. We can't count on the state, we can't count on the federal government. They're not going to do it. It's up to us here as a board. I have to tell you, we have our differences. But I think I don't think there's anybody on this board that's going to turn their back on you. But we'll find out, okay? That's all I have to say.
Another thing I want to remind everybody, that the rain that is happening isn't the events that are happening. The rains that are happening closer and closer together are happening because of climate change, things like that. It is not like I didn't go out and say, I'm going to flood these houses. I'm trying to help. We are all trying to help you get to where you can do this. But we didn't cause the problem. We're trying to be the solution for you. We're trying to help you, okay? And I just want everyone to understand that we are spending the time. I mean, we're here listening to everyone, and we're going to move forward on this.
I think what Mario's saying is it's not our fault, but we have to come up with a solution to solve the problem. And that's what we're talking. What Brian Littlewood was talking about, and I know you had it down on Spring Avenue and all that down there. Here's one picture. This is just one. I have several of Mr. Minnis's house, where Brian was saying he was standing by the outlet. Get out of there before the water sucks you up. And this is just one idea. Mr. Minnis lost 4 automobiles in that. So we understand what the problems are, and I'm sure this board is going to fight hard. I really believe that. Thank you.
Commissioner D'Amelio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can sympathize with many of you. I've had hydrostatic water coming up in my basement, so I know what it's like to have to worry about when it's raining to move anything you deem as valuable out of the basement or to higher ground, so I know what that's like. Obviously, we need to do something, and what that is outside of a bond, I don't know. But I'm sure that we've, as a board, reached out to our elected officials, our states representatives, our
many
state
times.
senators. Can we do that again to at least try to offset whatever cost we're going to have to bear? Because it's actually, if you float a bond, it comes from all the taxpayers, you included. But anything we could do to offset that, whether it be for grants or contacting them again, even inviting them to come to a special meeting.
You know what, we can...
I'm sorry?
I wish they were here.
Yeah, I wish they were here. That's what I'm saying. Invite them to come to a special meeting. We can have a special meeting and have our elected officials here to try to help us and you pay for this. I mean, let's invite them to a meeting.
Mr. DiMelli, can I make a comment? It wouldn't be a bad idea if we advised our residents here what elected officials that they need to write to as well. They should be picking up the phone and calling them if we're going to be doing as well.
Let's get a petition or something.
I like your idea, but let's have those elected officials have a meeting so we can go and we can
Fine.
speak, because we're restricted by our regulations
Right.
and rules here, so we can stand out there with them
I'm willing
and
to
face
do
the
that.
other way.
I'm
I
willing
think
to
it's a
do
great
that.
idea.
Thanks.
Yep.
So sooner rather than later, can we ask them to hold a special meeting where we can go and express?
Absolutely.
I mean, the sooner, we have to do it soon.
You want
office
state
for 20
representatives and the
Every
Senators.
Senate,
congressman?
Ask
Yes.
Senator Casey and Toomey, too. Get them all
Toomey,
here.
Casey,
Right now,
Ally,
And late.
right now,
whoever wins the 163rd.
yeah, Congressman Meehan, right now, his office is looking into 13 different grants, George, from that meeting. 13 different grants to try to help
That's
us
good.
out.
That's great. We didn't know
That
that.
doesn't mean we can't have them at the meeting anyway. I
Oh,
mean,
no,
it
no,
would be-
I'm not
yeah.
saying that, but
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
give
yeah.
you
No, it's
an
good,
idea of
Chris.
just
Yeah, but we
the
have-
one phone call to a meeting to now is looking into investigating 13 different grants. So absolutely, but the other thing is, and I know we can't do a resolution at a work session, but I'd like to put something out where we have a timeline to move forward on
Absolutely.
this, where by the commissioners' meeting, we can vote on a resolution.
Why don't you bring that up in new business at the commissioners meeting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you could get it on the agenda now.
Put it on the
Oh,
agenda.
we can, right,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, you can even get it on the agenda at this point. Yeah.
Just trying to make it easy for everybody.
Yeah.
That's all.
Put it on the agenda for next Monday.
I guess
Okay.
the concerns are, Mr. Pannoni presented several plans. Are we convinced, has there been enough study that that's going to be conclusive? You know, you spend $8 million and people's houses still get flooded. I mean, my concern looking at the maps throughout this meeting is all that water comes down, hits township line, and becomes another township's problem. But if that pipe isn't big enough to take the increased flow that we're going to give and channelize and pipe to them without coordination from the adjacent community to get down to the Cobbs Creek watershed, and we're going to hit that wall that Mr. Broido referred to, and we're going to surcharge back up again, because water's going to find a highest level. So I want to make sure we've got
Dave's
the right
right.
solution.
Dave, can you answer that question, or you need more research?
No, actually, I mean.
Can you come to the podium?
There's no reason to do it.
That's what I said earlier in the presentation.
Right.
The Mill Road one, we're driving a bus a little bit more. The one down in Spring Valley, we absolutely have outside agencies we got to coordinate. We got to coordinate with PennDOT, right? That's PennDOT storm sewer. That PennDOT storm sewer, we did some preliminary evaluation, and well, we did some preliminary evaluations, but it has to be coordinated with them. So you're right, Mr. Boardo. Absolutely has to. That's a big message I try to deliver. We do not have entire control in that section down Chatham. Got to look at PennDOT. You look at Township Line. You got to look at Upper Darby. And frankly, you're gonna have property issues because those storm sewers are big and those properties are tight. We're gonna have to acquire property to put them in. So
And PennDOT state-
that message, I hope, is not lost. I mean, that's important.
But can that sewer system, if, let's say PennDOT allows us to do this, they give us the okay, we can get through the backyards and work, acquire
Anything's
the properties
possible,
we need
Mario.
to?
We can absolutely get there. Again, we're
I'm
gonna
just
need-
worried about acquiring the property, putting this all through, and then, as
It doesn't work.
Commissioner Wexler said, getting it down there, and then it's still a bottleneck, and we're still filling up, and now we're
But
$3
Bill's
million
right,
out
this
of our
is-
pocket.
Well, let's,
Oh, you may bring up a good point. Nick,
I mean,
that's,
That's
wait, just
exactly
make-
what I'm saying.
But it
Is
is
that
still
has
part
to
of the
be
process.
confirmed. That has to be worked out.
That's why we need that meeting that Bill suggested. Let's get the government involved, our state government involved.
Right. We did some preliminary evaluation of that system. That system's not Haverford Townships.
Right.
We did some preliminary evaluation of it, and the preliminary evaluations are not negative. But we don't regulate it, and we don't control it. So, and we can't make a PennDOT application now. We don't have a project. But we're gonna have to get PennDOT involved.
Okay, but in the Ridge, over on Ridgeway, you're saying we do know that will,
Yeah, we're driving the bus a little bit more. We know that system was put in back in the 90s, right, Doc? And that was sized for the 100-year storm. We got the triple inlet, got a big box culvert down the bottom. So we know once we get down Mill, down about halfway where the old synagogue used to be, that we know we got 100, we got to know we got capacity in that system down there.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So again, that's, I know I'm getting a little repeating myself now. We've got more peripheral issues that have to be looked at. Bill's right. We can't build that storm sewer system and then not have it not work.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. If we don't know what's going on down there, we're gonna spend a lot of money, and then we're gonna have the same
We
issue.
won't. Larry and I have had this discussion. We won't.
And
It's my job.
Just have the
Yeah.
water coming out of more holes back.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
It's my job to
where-
make sure we don't.
Right.
That's what we got to make sure doesn't happen.
then we take it-
We don't want to spend $100,000 and not have it work, much less $4.5 million.
Right, but, well, I mean, that's, again, I hate to, I mean, I'm appealing right now to our state officials, if and when you receive an invite from the chairman of this board, that you commit to a meeting with these residents, because if you don't, you are turning your back on this township and its residents. So I would say that that meeting should occur within, what, 3 or 4 weeks of this meeting? You want to do it sooner?
Well,
Do it before the election.
Yeah.
That's
do
fine.
it before the election.
yeah, but,
All right.
yeah, time out. Well, let's make sure, we want to know who's going to be in the office for the next 2 years. So I think you're going to.
You're right, we have the 163rd that we were, but if we can get help from them, that would be fine too.
166.
Both our state reps.
You do
we-
it on the 20th or 27th.
We're going to have 2 state reps in Haverford Township after this
Seventh, we
election.
already
so-
have a
Right.
meeting.
Okay, all right.
So
All right,
by
let's-
at least,
All right, the 20th then.
that's fine by me. Let's get that meeting right after that. We're inviting you now, we're letting you know publicly, and if it's in the paper, that's fine. We are letting you know that we want to have a meeting and we want to be
I
there.
guess you are,
Let me
we're
ask.
giving you the authority to call them and to tell them that we're having a meeting and we'd
They're-
like
I
them to
thought
be
they were
part of
having the meeting, so the.
No, they're
Yeah,
not.
exactly. We're going to put it together, but
Ask
they're going
them
to
for
come
me.
here and then we're going to ask them questions.
We'll do it at a venue that's larger than this. but-
Right.
We'll have donuts and water, lots of water.
We have water.
No, we'll have to have it at one of the schools or something because this venue's too small for something
I gotta
like
say,
that.
Chris, you've done a great job in trying to solve this and bring it to our attention, because when I saw the pictures that you had showed me, I was shocked by some of what I've seen, and I think this board, from what I'm hearing, is shocked by it. We want to help. We're
Mario,
trying to do
what
it
time?
as quickly as possible.
Goes to Mr.
President?
Pinoni and Mrs. Widoff. and
7?
Mr. Gentili. They-
Yeah. Oh, you guys have been.
President,
Thank you.
President, I did want to ask
Okay,
Mr. Pinoni one
Chairman,
more question.
Mr. Daly wants to speak.
Come here. Come on up. Microphone. We need you on the microphone.
Sorry. We have DVDs from all the way back to 2004 where actually Bill Boster put everything together.
Okay.
People have photographs, tapes, and now it's on a DVD.
You can bring that too,
Yes.
to that meeting, please.
That'd be great.
And we'll have a setup that we can show them.
All right. I'm not supposed to let people talk from the audience. I just let you do it because you're Mr. Daly. That's all.
20th at 7 p.m.
The 20th at 7 p.m. Okay? Commissioner, okay,
I don't want to throw a wrench at you. We're saying the 20th. We have no idea where we're going to have this meeting. I can guarantee you we can have it here. You can't go determining we're going to have it at a school where we haven't talked to the school district yet. We haven't talked to, I don't know if I can have it at the rec center because I don't know if that rec center is committed. I think you're moving a little too quick. I understand you're being aggressive, but you can't commit to a date just yet. Unless you're going to have it in this room.
Between 5 fire companies, the rec center, and the schools, I think we could come up with a location.
Yeah, besides, it doesn't have to be on a Monday either. I mean, that's the other thing. You know, we're picking on Mondays. It could be a Tuesday, it could be a Wednesday.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
be more flexible.
so I can't have anyone for the audience speaking right now.
That's all.
Commissioner
have to
Holmes,
be a Monday.
go ahead.
I'd like to ask Mr. Pinoni